All right, good evening, YouTube. It's Kenyatta. I am back with another biblical story. This is the story of Joseph. The story of Joseph, rather, starts in Genesis chapter 37. Now, who is Joseph? All right, Abraham is the one that was promised by God, okay, or Yahweh, right? I am that I am, promised him to be a father, that he would be a father of many nations. Okay, or the father of a nation. All right. So Abraham had two sons, Ishmael and Isaac. Through his son Isaac, we have the nation of Hebrews or the Israelites. Let me see. Let me get it right. Abraham had, I just said their names. Oh, Isaac and Ishmael. Okay, and through Isaac. Okay, Isaac had two sons, Jacob and Esau. All right. And through through Joseph. Through Jacob. I just started over, right? Through Jacob. All right, through his sons, we have the 12 tribes of Israel, okay, that made up the nation of Israel, all right? Well, I think it probably should have went through Esau, but Esau sold his birthright to Jacob, but that's another story, all right? So Joseph is the father of Jacob. The son of Jacob. Woo! Joseph is the son of Jacob. So let's get into this story, all right, about Joseph. I'll probably it's chapters 37 through 50, and I'll probably do like I did with Job and just read 3 chapters a night, all right? Chapter 37, the title of the chapter is Joseph's family sins against him, all right? And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren. And the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Look at that, okay? So we definitely see that the practice of having more than one wife here. Okay, Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Okay. Just telling on folks, all right. Now Israel, okay, who became Israel? Jacob. All right, Jacob became Israel. So when you hear Israel, we're also referring to Jacob. Remember, Jacob wrestled with the angel or with God, all right? Earlier, a version say it was God. Some other translations say, later translations I believe say angel, okay? So when you hear it, once again, Israel, it's also being referred to as Jacob. Now, Israel loved Joseph more than all his children because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And you all know about that play, Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, all right? I was in that play here at the East Cleveland Theater in East Cleveland. But let's continue on. And when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. All right. I think, that might kind of, is to be expected. All right. There's some jealousy there, of course. Okay. Probably some hurt feelings, so on and so forth. You love him more than you love everybody else or the rest of us. But let's continue on. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. So here we have Joseph dreamed a dream. So he had some spiritual gifts here, okay? And he said unto them, Here I pray you this dream which I have dreamed, okay? Because sometimes people don't like it when you have these gifts, all right? And then you share them, and Joseph sounds like he might have been a little kind of innocent, naive, So even though, Daddy loved me more than he loved y'all, I'm sure he was well aware of that, okay, and that his brothers hated him for it. But nevertheless, we are going to move on. And here he is. I have this gift, and I'm going to tell you this dream that I had. But let's hear what the dream was, all right? For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright, and behold, your sheaves stood round about and made obeisance to my sheaf. Isn't that something? Oh, that's a dream you had, Joseph, and you telling us about that. All right. And his brethren said to him, shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream and told it his brethren, and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him, and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? And his brethren envied him. But his father observed the saying. And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, here am I. And he said to him, go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, they are departed hence. For I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren, and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. Slay him. Not sell him, but to slay him, to kill him. Okay? Or, people are saying, I'm seeing now, all over YouTube and whatnot, to unalive him. All right. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. I'm sure they, it was a little kind of, look at who's coming. Okay, look, the dreamer's coming. All right. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit. And we will say, some evil beast hath devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams. Okay, we're going to kill this brother of ours. Okay? And then we're going to see what becomes of his dreams, of us bowing down to him. And Reuben heard it. Reuben, another brother. And he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands to deliver him to his father again. And it came to pass, when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him, and they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it. All right, so, Reuben, okay, let's not kill him, but let's just get rid of him, okay, and take off that daggum coat. All right, and put him in a pit, empty pit, not even any water in the pit, okay, so he can keep on going. And they sat down to eat bread. And they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels, bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. Now, Ishmaelites, I believe these people are of Ishmael, okay, Abraham and Hagar's son. Okay, so this would be, I believe, their cousins. All right. Okay, but like I was saying, no water in the pit. So that if he did die, it wasn't because they killed him. Okay, he can't sustain himself. Okay, with nothing, not even any water. And Judah, another brother, said unto his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. and his brethren were content. All right, so let's not even just, just throw him in the pit. All right, let's just sell him. All right, to the Ishmaelites. I mean, he, after all, he is our brother. Okay, even though we hate his guts. And he's dreaming these dreams and telling us that we're going to bow down to him. And Daddy loved him more than he loved the rest of us. And he's taunting us with these dreams and, so on and so forth. Okay. All right. Then there passed by Midianites, merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. All right. And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. Okay, so usually here he tore his clothes. When they do that, they're grief stricken because Reuben, he went back to the pit to say, okay, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites. But when he got back, of course, he wasn't there because the Midianites who were merchantmen, saw him in the pit. Okay, and they got him and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites. And Reuben, and he returned unto his brethren and said, the child is not, and I, whither shall I go? And they took Joseph's coat and killed a kid of the goats and dipped the coat in blood. Okay, a kid of the goats. Okay, a goat. Okay, not a child. All right, but an animal. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, this have we found. Know now whether it be thy son's coat or no. And he knew it, and said, it is my son's coat. An evil beast hath devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. And Jacob rent his clothes, and put sackcloth upon his loins, and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted, and he said, for I will go down into the grave unto my son mourning. Thus his father wept for him. And the Midianites sold him, Joseph, into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard. Chapter 38, title of the chapter, Joseph's family sins with the Canaanites. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua, and he took her and went into her. And she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. And yet again she conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was at Chezib when she bare him. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. I don't know what he did that was wicked in the sight of the Lord. We're going to look and see. Maybe... Yeah, it's not. I'm looking in the notes. It's not stated what his sin was or what, why the Lord saw him as wicked, but the Lord killed him. Okay. And Judah said unto Onan, go in unto thy brother's wife and marry her and raise up a seed to thy brethren. Okay, because back then, if a man died and his wife was, living, left his wife a widow, the brother would then marry her, okay, for the role of the man to be there, because of course the man is no longer there because he's dead. The brother would, okay, or some man of the family, okay, would take his wife as his wife, all right? And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. Wait a minute, let me see. And Judah said unto Onan, go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give his seed to his brother. Okay, so he, you know, did not ejaculate in her. Okay, he let his seed spill out on the ground. Okay, lest that he should give seed to his brother. Okay, that was his brother's wife, but his brother was dead, and he didn't want to have no child with his brother's wife. But that was still his wife, so he had sex with her, but would not allow himself to ejaculate inside of her. Okay, but we shall see. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Okay, so that was displeasing to the Lord. Okay, and the Lord killed him. Let me see. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow at thy father's house, till Shelah my son be grown. For he said, lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And in the process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died. Judah was comforted and went up into his sheep shearers to Timnath, he and his friend Hira the Adulamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way to Timnath. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot, because she had covered her face. And he turned unto her by the way, and said, go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. He didn't realize that was his daughter-in-law. And she said, what wilt thou give me that thou mayest come in unto me? Now, how much you gonna pay me for me? Okay. And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? What's your promise? And he said, what pledge shall I give thee? And she said, thy signet and thy bracelets and thy staff that is in thine hand. And he gave it to her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. So here she is. She done conceived by her father-in-law. But he didn't know, according to the story, that that was his daughter-in-law. Okay? And she arose and went away, and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood. And Judah, she went back and, took off the veil. Okay? Kept her face covered, took it off. All right? And put on her widow clothes. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend, the Adulamite, to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, now remember, he was just giving her that till she got the kid, till she got the goat. Okay? So she kept it. He went to go get it. He sent the goat, by his friend's hand. Who was his friend? The Adulamite Hira. Okay? But she wasn't there, of course. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, where's the harlot that was openly by the wayside? And they said, there was no harlot in this place. And he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said that there was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her. And it came to pass about 3 months after that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar thy daughter-in-law hath played the harlot. That was your daughter-in-law, Judah. 3 months later. And also, behold, she is with child by whoredom. Okay? She's carrying your baby. And Judah said, bring her forth and let her be burnt. Woo! Lord have mercy. And when she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, By the man who these are, am I with child? And she said, Discern, I pray thee, whose are these, the signet and bracelets and staffs. See, she kept that. Okay. He wasn't realizing, let me change that. They just told him that your daughter-in-law pregnant, from being out there on them streets, whoring, prostituting herself. Okay, Judah said, bring her forth. We're going to burn her, But when she came forth, she said, well, now wait a minute. All right. Who do you think I'm pregnant by? Who? And she showed him the things that she kept. Remember the pledge, the bracelets, the signet and staff, Judah's. And Judah acknowledged them and said, She hath been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah my son, and he knew her again no more. Remember, he told her that he was going to give her, she was a widow, because she was, I believe, Onan's, his son's wife. And when my other son Shelah gets of age, then I'll give you to him, okay? So you can have a husband, all right? But he didn't do it. Okay. So she went out there to try and take care of herself, basically. And she took off her widow's clothes and put on her veil and went out there out in the streets. I got to take care of myself because he has not done what he promised that he would do. Okay? All right. My father-in-law, okay, who's now, I'm in his care. Okay. And it came to pass in the time of her travail that, behold, twins were in her womb. Okay. And it came to pass when she travailed that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon him a scarlet thread, saying, This came out first. And it came to pass, as he drew back his hand, that, behold, his brother came out. And she said, How hast thou broken forth? This breach be upon thee. Therefore his name was called Pharez. And afterward came out his brother that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was Zerah. Isn't that interesting? Twins, okay? The one was coming out first. They saw his hand. She put the midwife put the scarlet thread on his hand, but his hand went back inside, and the brother, okay, the other one came out first, and then the one with the scarlet on his hand came out second, which is interesting, this story. All right, I'm going to go back and read the notes. Now we're going to read chapter 39. Joseph's test with the Egyptian woman. Wait a minute. No, I'm not. I'm going to save that. Let's look at these two, because these are two long chapters. Let's look here. Okay, I think chapter 37 is pretty self-explanatory. I don't think I need to read anything about that. All right? But chapter 38 is interesting because I'm not familiar with chapter 38 concerning the story of Joseph, and I'm wondering what relevance it has to the rest of the story. It might not necessarily, all right? It just may be part of the story, part of, Judah, his brother, Joseph's brother. But let's see. Chapter 38, okay, 1 through 30. The account of Joseph is interrupted, okay? It says the account of Joseph is interrupted to preserve this account of Judah. Okay, now these 12 brothers here, these are the 12 tribes of Israel are named after the 12 brothers. Okay, we know about Judah, the tribe of Judah. This is the tribe that Jesus came from. Okay, the line of the tribe of Judah. All right. It is important because here it is, Pharez. Okay, we saw who Pharez was. The son of Judah and his daughter-in-law was a direct ancestor of David, okay, who is a direct ancestor of Jesus, okay. And because Judah occupied an important role in Hebrew history. So this is why this is important here. Not necessarily to the story of Joseph alone, but just to the history of the Israelite people, the nation of Israel here. This account revolves around the Levirate, I believe Levi, the brother Levi, who was the priestly class came from, or the priest came from the tribe of Levi. The Levirate marriage, a marriage provision intended to ensure that a man who died childless could have his lineage continue through his brother. Okay. Adullam was located in the hills about 9 miles northwest of Hebron, a cave near there was David's headquarters. While hunted by Saul. Okay, that's way down the line. All right. The Lord slew him. Israel attributed both good and evil, life and death to God. This premature death was a judgment for Er's undefined wickedness. Remember, it just said, this was wicked in the sight of the Lord, but it didn't say what it was. It's the undefined wickedness, so the Lord slew him, okay? Verse 9, the seed be his. The firstborn to the Levirate marriage was considered the child of the dead brother. Can mean whenever, indicating Onan was unwilling to perpetuate his brother's family at his expense. Okay, so he took on his brother's wife, but I'm not going to continue his lineage through, me. No. Okay. And that's why he did not, ejaculate in her. Okay. Onan was judged for his continued planned rebellion against the Levirate marriage. All right. All right. Where we see the word harlot here indicates a cult prostitute. This shows the depravity of both Judah and the world into which he married. It was not only an act of fornication, but of idolatry. Okay. So not just a prostitute, but a cult prostitute. I don't know what the reference is that the notes here. I don't know what the cult is. All right. I'd have to do some research, and I'm not going to probably. I'm just reading the notes here. Okay. But here was an act of fornication. All right. And that Judah was depraved and the world was depraved at this point. All right. Judah is ironically concerned about his reputation. Okay, in verse 23. All right. Because he got down with a harlot or prostitute. All right. And he went to go give her what he promised her payment, but she wasn't there. Okay. Now, where he said, let her be burnt, Judah was using a legal expression. Again, the Mosaic law later incorporated this earlier provision, death to an adulteress by fire, or more commonly by stoning. Okay, and many people are very familiar with that verse where the prostitute was brought to Jesus. Look at her, look at what she done. And they all picked up the stones to get ready to stone her. And what did Jesus say? He who is without sin cast the first stone. That was part of the law, the Mosaic law, to burn the prostitute or to stone her. Okay, now I know this may sound like rough and whatnot, but this is what it was. All right, so let's continue on. All right, now we're talking about this signet, the pledge that he left, the harlot who ended up being, or the prostitute who ended up being his daughter-in-law. Okay, what it say? The signet was a personal identification seal hanging from bracelets about its owner's neck. The staff probably had a distinctive carving at the top. Tamar had a sense for the dramatic. She knew that anyone in the household could quickly identify the owner and the staff of the staff and bracelets. I don't know about giving her, saying that she had a sense for the dramatic. In other words, she was just full of drama. This is what he's saying. Okay, the person in the notes, okay, she just was just full of drama. No, she wanted to ensure that she was going to get that kid so she could, that goat, okay, or kid, so make sure she could take care of herself. Because my daddy-in-law didn't do what he said he was going to do when the boy turned an adult, when the other brother turned an adult, so he can take care of me and provide for me. He did not do it. All right, so I got to ensure that I'm going to be taken care of because he has not done his part, which he admitted, as we saw when we read, so that we can scratch out. There's no indication here about her being dramatic. It's just an indication of her saying, I have to take care of myself because he ain't doing it as he promised he would. Let's continue on. All right, 27 to 30. The birth events are obviously miraculous, obviously, between these twins here, Perez and Zerah. This is another incident of God's providence whereby the younger receives preferred status. Same thing here, with Esau, and which I didn't read, but Joseph's father, Esau and Jacob, because the birthright was Esau's, but that's another story. He was hungry, and Joseph was like, well, I give you something to eat if you give me a birthright. And Esau was like, okay, here it is, all right. The preference went to the younger. We see that often. The preference went to the younger for David to be king, over Saul, so on and so forth, okay. But we're not getting into all that. We're going to stay in Joseph here, and we will be back, all right, with the rest of this story, okay. All right, y'all check out my website. I'm going to be doing some work on that, updating it soon, hopefully, and y'all be blessed. Peace. Oh, the website is kenyattasintuition.com. All right, y'all be blessed. Peace.